your number one source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
Well, hey, that didn't take too long. Just a couple of days after the Carolina Mudcats' final game in Wake County, the future of Five County Stadium is starting to come into focus. Thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan.
And I'm Ashley. A new partnership will bring in some new teams, new attractions, and millions of dollars in upgrades. WRAL's Eric Miller joins us live in Zebulon tonight. Eric, this process actually started back in February, so walk us through the plan that was approved today.
Ashley, some big changes here for this small town in eastern Wake County. Just within the last 2 hours, leaders both town of Zebulon as well as Wake County as a whole signed off on the first stages of this plan. It'll have a big impact on Five County Stadium there. Of course, the home of the Carolina Mudcats going all the way back to 1991. The Mudcats played their final game just within the last couple of days. Under this new proposal from WRAL parent company Capital Broadcasting, the stadium would become a home for a Coastal Plains League team, a summer collegiate baseball league. It would also host Wake Tech's baseball and softball teams, plus men's and women's soccer. There would also be major investments into the facility itself. We're talking millions of dollars here. There'll be a new family area and play space that would replace the first place bleachers. That would actually be accessible year-round, even when there's not a game going on. There would also be a new field, scoreboard, concessions, among other things. Both Capital Broadcasting leaders and Wake County commissioners are really excited about this deal. Just take a listen.
So from eastern North Carolina, eastern Wake County, all the way around, it's just a win-win, and really appreciate all your diligence and everyone else that weighed in to this very important decision.
And we won't have to wait too long to see some changes out there. The first games under this new arrangement are supposed to be played starting in 2026.
It's just around the corner. And Eric, there's also a lot more to this deal as well. There's actually a plan to develop the area around Five County Stadium. Walk us through that. What would that entail?
There is, Ashley. Details on that are still few and far between, but if you know Five County Stadium, you know there's a lot of empty land around there. There's basically the stadium and then a huge gravel lot that surrounds it. This lease, of course, includes the entire 52-acre site. We know about 30 acres of that are actually suitable for development. It is allowed as part of this deal, something that Capital Broadcasting can pursue. So we're going to be watching very closely as the company looks to transform that into a new center, a new attraction here in the Zebulon area. In Zebulon, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Thank you, Eric. And in the spirit of transparency, you should know Capital Broadcasting, WRAL's parent company, is very much in the business of baseball. You might already know that CBC owns the Durham Bulls, a minor league team affiliated with the MLB. CBC also owns the Holly Springs Salamanders and the league the Salamanders play in. The Coastal Plain League is a collegiate baseball league with 13 teams located in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia. Another team in the Coastal Plain League has an interesting connection to this Five County Stadium story and the Mudcats' move to leave Zebulon. I'm talking about the Wilson Tobbs. Because the Mudcats are headed to Wilson, this will be the final season for the Tobbs. The Tobbs have played at Fleming Stadium for years, a stadium with a rich history dating back to 1940. Fans are sad to see that come to an end, but it's possible this isn't the end. I mean, think about it. Bringing in a new team is part of CBC's deal to operate Five County Stadium. The Tobbs need a new home. Seems like a good match, right? But the fact is we don't know yet which team will move to Zebulon. When that news does come down, we'll of course let you know.
All right, Brian Schrader here in the WRAL Live Center. Have an update to breaking news we first brought you in our 6 o'clock newscast. A traffic stop led to a chase and crash in East Raleigh. Take you to some pictures from Sky 5 shot about an hour ago. Wake County Sheriff's deputies say they tried to stop a driver on I-87 for speeding. That driver did not stop and then apparently took the ramp from I-87 or 440 eastbound onto Pool Road. And there was a crash there at the top of the ramp. Raleigh police tell us 5 vehicles were involved. 2 people suffered injuries, not serious injuries apparently, and they are still working to clear that completely. Want to take you right now to live traffic sensor data, some slowdown showing up there on 87 at Pool Road. And as we take a look at the live camera out there, there's still a little bit of a backup there at the ramp. We're working to find out more about that crash and if anybody has been charged yet.
All right, thank you, Brian. Hey, if you're just getting to the news tonight, we want to get you caught up now on the 5 things you need to know. A man is in the hospital with some serious injuries after a stabbing at a Durham apartment complex. This was the scene here on Danube Lane. This is around noon today. Officers found a man inside of an apartment with a stab wound. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police did not share any information on a suspect. The Wilsons Mills Police Department say children uncovered human remains near a cemetery, not in the cemetery, but close by. This was right near Wilsons Mills Association Cemetery. Investigators think the remains found nearby could have been there for, say, 10 or 15 years. The medical examiner is still taking a look as they try and also determine a cause of death. A car slammed into a restaurant at Fuquay Varina today. Sky 5 over the Smithfield's chicken location there as a tow truck prepared to take the car out of there. A town official told us the car crashed into a wall near the drive-through speaker. No one was hurt, fortunately. It's not clear what led the driver to crash into the restaurant, though.
Tonight, Wake County Schools shared a first draft of a student enrollment plan that could impact hundreds of students. Students in more than a dozen schools could be assigned to a new school in the years to come. This is all to accommodate growth across the county. No final decisions have been made. An in-person open house will be held September 24th at Hilltop Needmore Elementary. We have the full list of potentially impacted schools at WRAL.com. Today, Governor Josh Stein announced a plan to put AI in state government. Stein signed an executive order creating programs that will use AI to improve state services. The governor also created an AI Leadership Council to ensure the state is using technology responsibly. Stein thinks the technology could also be used at the DMV and other state agencies. We are approaching 1 year since Helene hit Western North Carolina. There is still a lot of rebuilding work to be done. There's a unique gap here. While roads are still closed and buildings are damaged, many businesses are back open, ready for the fall tourism season. Closing that gap is taking longer than many people expected. Today, WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie asked Governor Stein why progress has been so slow.
Governor Josh Stein said today that the state is moving forward as quickly as it can with rebuilding, but federal red tape and a slow federal response just aren't helping. Just last week, 11 months after Helene hit, the state announced that its federally funded rebuilding program had just completed its first home in North Carolina. The state's Helene Recovery Dashboard says 413 homes have been rebuilt or repaired by nonprofits using state funds. But so far, just one home has been repaired under the federally funded rebuilding program, and that was just finished last week. Applications for that program didn't even open until June, and Stein said North Carolina is still moving faster than any other state hit by Helene.
We were the first state to get our plan submitted, the first state to have our plan approved, the first state affected by Helene to have finished a home. In fact, no state has moved faster than North Carolina in more than a decade after a major hurricane.
From a layman's terms, from our viewers' perspective, 11 months to get one house rebuilt, it just seems like it's taking forever.
We are going as fast as you can when you're dealing with a massive federal bureaucracy.
Stein said he sympathizes with the thousands of people in Western North Carolina still waiting for help rebuilding their homes. But he said federal aid has been slow to come and there's not enough of it. He's asking the federal government for an additional $11.5 billion in a supplemental disaster bill.
The nonprofit sector is critical. Neighbors helping neighbors is critical. But when you have a scale of this disaster, a disaster of this scale, you need the federal government to step up. And frankly, that has been the biggest thing that's lacking.
I asked the White House this afternoon whether President Donald Trump would support Governor Stein's request for those additional disaster funds. They did not respond immediately to my question. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Wow, a lot to do still. We are bringing you stories of heartbreak and hope in the mountains 1 year after the hurricane. It's all part of our new WRAL documentary, Helene, What We Lost, What We Found. It airs Thursday, September 25th at 7:30 on TV or wherever you stream WRAL.
How does the state lose track of $170 million? And what should lawmakers do with it now that it's been found? One of the questions and comments sent to the in-depth mailbag this week. After the break, I'm going to go through some of your feedback, including a very insightful message about the cost of living. Why one viewer thinks that all the new business in our area actually might hurt more than it helps. Kat?
And we just have one night left with these comfortable temperatures in the 50s, and then It's back to reality. Highs are in the 90s, and I'm tracking the transition coming up.
Let's answer a few of your emails tonight, shall we? I've seen a lot of you sending in messages. It's been great, giving your feedback, asking questions. Thank you for everybody who gets engaged and does this. This segment, this newscast really doesn't work without you. We want to know what you want to see on your newscast here. So send me an email at dan@WRAL.com. So Mark seems to think that we're doing a pretty good job. He wrote, thanks for your in-depth segment tonight. It was clear, concise, and honest. Julius wrote, your in-depth segments are well thought out, understandable, and always worth watching. Guys. But that's what we're about, right? Being honest and being well thought out. Not everybody agrees on the worth watching part, though. An anonymous viewer wrote in and said, "You're fired," is all I'd like to hear about you. Sheesh, man. Feels a little harsh. I guess I'm not for everybody. Remember, though, you don't have to watch me stand up here and talk. But another viewer named Jeff thinks if you do change the channel, you'd be missing out. He wrote, yours is some of the best programming on television. Thank you, Jeff. I was starting to feel a little sad. Moving on now to a message I got about tens of millions of dollars that the state treasurer recently found in a lost account. I'm talking about the $170 million of your tax money sitting in an account going unnoticed for 25 years. A viewer named Bill wrote in and said, it's been more than 20 years since the court found that the state should be responsible for funding low-income children's education. Some of that $170 million that was found should go to support the education of low-income children in public education. So what Bill is talking about is the Leandro case. WRAL has covered it since 1994. In 2022, a big development, the state Supreme Court ruled that North Carolina must drastically increase education funding by about $5.5 billion and setting a deadline for 2028 to do that. Now, that decision has been challenged. The case is very much still being litigated. And all that said, that $170 million in loose change found in the state couch cushions would make a tiny dent in that $5 billion increase that the court called for. Unfortunately, that missing money can't be used for education. Here's how WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie put it to me this week.
This was money that was set aside by lawmakers for capital expenses. So this money can only be used for certain uses. One of the uses it can be used for is paying off some of the debt that the state owes for all the projects that we've taken on. And that's what the treasurer says he's going to do with it.
So they'll use that money to pay down some debt. Not a bad idea. Now, let's move on to an email that I think a lot of you can relate to, and it has to do with the cost of living. Ken wrote in and said, I fail to see any value in these new companies coming to our area. We give them tax incentives to come here, and that ultimately costs taxpayers. Increased demand for housing. Prices go up, raising my taxes. Increased traffic and new road projects, raising my taxes. Most locals are not qualified for these jobs, so more people moving in and moving on. So Ken brings up a pretty interesting point. You know, the state rolls out these sweet deals to big companies if those companies then bring good jobs and good salaries, and then those people with the good jobs and good salaries buy homes and they drive the housing market up and prices go up, and that means higher property taxes for people who have lived here, and then new roads and new schools and all that stuff. Bringing in new business and industry is good for the health and growth of the state, but many individual people might get left behind in some ways, especially when it comes to housing. It is a crisis. I mean, plain and simple. And a news story from over the weekend really drove this home for me. It hit a nerve. Maybe you saw this video of a fire at an apartment building in Wayne County. 50 people were displaced. Thankfully, none of them were hurt. Now, a fire like this is bad in any community. Heartbreaking, life-changing, no matter how much the homes cost. But this community was specifically built as affordable housing for low-income families that just can't compete with these exploding home prices that we've seen. And when you listen to the people who lost their homes here, you can feel their anxiety.
I do feel like it's going to be difficult to find a place at the price of what we were paying here. If we have to venture out a little further, but still have to come on this side for kids' school and everything like that, yeah, that'll be a little problem.
Places like this that are affordable for some people, once you get in them, you try to be here as long as possible. Once they fill up, that's it. You're on a wait list for a while.
these affordable places are in very high demand, and that wait list is long, very long. A recent report showed 41,000 people waiting in the queue for affordable housing in North Carolina, and those are just the people on the list. Many people don't even bother. In Wake County alone, data shows there is an affordable housing deficit of 65,000 units. Local leaders are trying to put a dent in that. Raleigh just broke ground on 18 affordable homes. They'll go up near downtown in the Idlewild community. 18 steps forward, and with one fire, 50 steps back. Now, the county, Wake County, announced a plan to build 1,300 new affordable homes by 2030. Only 60,000 more to go. And remember, this is important. This is a state where the term affordable housing only applies to low-income families, which just isn't reality anymore, is it? The median home price sitting at nearly $500,000. This crisis stretches well into the middle class. Ken's email got me thinking, weighing the cost of growth and how many of you feel a little left behind during all of this. We live in a state where the average salary can no longer afford the average home. Tell me what this means to you. What should we explore next? Email me at dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we will go in depth.
So many people are impacted by that. I think you're going to get a lot of emails, Dan. We are now in September, peak hurricane season. What's the tropics looking like?
Well, we've got another one to watch. This is moving off the coast of Africa, and we had this on the long-range tropical maps for a little while, so this shouldn't come as a surprise. Main development region in the peak of hurricane season with an area in red. A 70% chance of tropical development over the next week here. This is going to be one for perhaps the Caribbean to watch, maybe Bermuda to watch as well. We haven't seen any, really concerning signs per se for the U.S. However, it's on the other side of the ocean, thousands of miles away, highlighted here in the white circle. So it's got to traverse the whole ocean, and it's going to be probably pretty slow moving. The average number of days to reach the U.S. in this zone is 12 to 14. So it is a long ways away. If, and that is a big if, we were to actually see impacts in the U.S., that would put us around the time frame of September 14th through the 15th. I know you're probably trying to do the math in your head, so I figured I'd help you out there, but still at this point, it's a long ways out, and we'll continue to monitor it. We don't have model data available like the spaghetti plots you see us use yet. As soon as we get that, we will bring it to you here on WRAL. In the meantime, things are pretty quiet for us. A front stalled offshore, and we're watching another front that's going to drop in from the northwest later this week, but it's got a tough time actually moving on through here. A live look outside tonight, the WRAL TV tower. Just a beautiful blue skies. The sun sets a bit earlier now. 74 the temperature with the dew point of 53. Nice and comfortable. 83 the high tomorrow. A little bit warmer compared to our 79 today. The humidity still low, still dry, and mostly sunny. Thursday will be our best chance for rain all week, really coming Thursday night. 87 Thursday and 90 again on Friday, mostly sunny and a warming wind kicking back in. So if you are a fan of this nice fall weather, tonight is your night. It's the last night with lows in the 50s in the Triangle on our 7-day. 57 in Durham, 58 in Raleigh, 56 in Rocky Mount and Southern Pines, 59 in Fayetteville, 53 closer to Roanoke Rapids. We've got a lot going on tomorrow. It's a nice day outside. After school practices will be nice at the American Tobacco campus in Durham. The Duke Arts will also be there. Should be fun for the family. 78 at 6 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, 73 degrees at 11 o'clock in the upper 60s. So here's the front that is trying to move closer to us. It really struggles to do so, though. It just gets stuck up against the North Carolina mountains, and a secondary front's got to come along and actually push through the area. The earliest that would happen would be on Sunday. Still some disagreements on the exact timing, but by next week, temperatures should cool down a bit. By the time we get to Friday and Saturday, highs are in the low 90s. 2 days in a row that we'll be dealing with the 90s, but some upper 80s ahead for Thursday. It'll be a little bit more humid as well, Thursday through Saturday. Sunday, some isolated storms possible as that secondary cold front swings through, and that should drop our highs back into the low 80s with lows in the low to mid 60s again.
A little something for everybody with these temperatures. Thanks, Kat. Hey, if there is inclement weather or breaking news in your area, report it to us. Go to WRAL.com/report it to send us your video, pictures, or information. We have an update tonight on the national champion clogging team from Wake County. Did they defend their title? One last thing after the break. Our one last thing comes to us from Nashville, Tennessee. That's where a team from Garner, the Feet on Fire Cloggers, who you see here, competed in the national championships. They are so impressive. They're clogging to a Michael Jackson classic, Billie Jean. The Feet on Fire director tells us they came in second place in the contemporary category of the nationals.
That's first place work, if you ask me. I mean, I'm not a judge of it. So this team does have a strong reputation. Last year, getting the national title in the championship in the traditional category. Yes, there are different styles of clogging, which, don't forget, is the official folk dance of North Carolina. The General Assembly making that official back in 2005.
So when we first told you about the Feet on Fire Cloggers last week, the team's director said, win or lose, she just wanted them to have a good time. They did just that. They came home with some hardware as well. And man, they've got so much to be proud of. They're impressive.
They're nailing their moves, right? Like
Totally.
Everybody is at the exact same. Look at this.
I know. They're
Well
really
done.
good.
Congrats. All right, thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and at 11 on WRAL.
Have a great night. Enjoy the sunset.